Halito, and welcome to Native Chalk Talk, a podcast by natives for all. Here we're keeping our Native ancestors' stories and history alive while also sharing with you our Native cultures, traditions, and more. I'm Rachel Youngman, a Choctaw originally from Anadarko, Oklahoma. I hope you'll enjoy this journey with me as we learn from our Native American guests. And stay tuned for the end of each episode where we'll talk about some great ways to support Native causes and or Native-owned businesses. Let's get started. But first, a word from our sponsor. Are you looking for a new adventure? Learn to fly at Chickasha Wings.
Right here at Chickasha Wings, we teach people to fly. We've got 11 airplanes, 9 flight instructors, and about 5 mechanics. We turn out about 80 new certificates or ratings each year. And we train pilots who now fly at the major airlines. They fly for the Air Force, the FAA, for private jets. We even have a few missionary pilots. Our customers come from all over the United States. Here at Chickasha, we're able to provide lower costs, a more focused training program, and we're able to provide a higher level of customer service. My favorite thing about this business is helping people, because I see people go from not knowing anything about it to being an airline pilot. Come out here and learn to fly.
Your adventure awaits at Chickasha Wings. For more information, check out chickashawings.com. When I grew up on the prairie, miles outside of Anadarko, Oklahoma, in Hog Creek, we used to drive to town and we'd pass this church called Ware's Chapel. Driving to town was a big deal, by the way. And we knew a lot of people with the last name Ware. It was a sprawling Kiowa family in our community that had lived there for many generations. My oldest sister, Stacy, got married in that chapel in the 80s. And by the way, I was the candle lighter. And I had a mess of 80s hair held up by Aquanet hairspray. Am I right, girls? The staple for every Southern girl's big 80s hairdo. Anyway, all these years later, I went the other day to Riverside Indian School in Anadarko, where my dad used to be the art teacher. And I sat down for a very long talk with Terry Ware, who was one of my dad's students, and now he's a coach for our Native youth at Riverside. Since Terry is one of the many Ware family members, I finally got to hear the history of Ware's Chapel. But I also learned so much more, such as how the Indian perfume weed can help keep my eagle feathers from having that eagle feather stench. And I got to hear about Terry's great-great-grandmother, who was named the day the sun died because she was born during an eclipse. And I got to hear about how the Ware name came about. Well, guess what? If you tune in, you also will get to hear the happy birthday song in Kiowa. So listeners, feel free to learn how to sing it, and you'll definitely impress your friends. Stay tuned also to hear about Apache dancers and the origin of the tail bustle, as well as the Omaha Society. It's too interesting for me to give you any more spoilers about that stuff, so you'll just have to listen. We'll also hear about Terry's 5 generations of ancestors that attended Riverside Indian School. How cool is that? And about the rivalry between Riverside and Fort Sill Indian School, and stories about Riverside, like how the feral hogs used to come around. And you know those feral hogs are dangerous, so they had to put a fence up. You know, just really cool stories about the history of Riverside. I've known a lot of Wares, but I never stopped until now to just ask more questions. Maybe that's a lesson to all of us. Perhaps if we would sit down with folks and ask them more about their family stories and history, we may get so much more than we ever would have expected. So here's my conversation with Terry Ware. I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I did. Interestingly enough, too, we're at Riverside Indian School today, and where you are the gym coach, correct? And so my dad used to work here also at Riverside as the art teacher. Do you remember working with my dad?
I didn't work with your dad, but I was one of his students.
No way.
Yeah. He was
that would make him feel old today.
Yeah, well, he was one of my instructors here, and there's a lot of people out there that I had told that we was going to do this. And then I was be working with Mr. Shopner's daughter, and they went, "What? Are you serious? How is he? Where's he at?"
That's so
that's
cool.
The best question, because he does so much with the students and stuff. And in fact, the logo on your shirt there was created by one of his students in his classroom over there.
No way! Yeah. On my Native Chalk Talk Facebook page, I'll be sure to post photos of the logo that Terry's talking about. Yeah, so funny. I remember Dad coming home with like some kind of paper mache shark. And then, like, he did some crazy stuff with the Halloween here every year.
He used to do that all the time. Everybody just loved him because, and then you're gonna love this. When we go to his class, he had this. They had these old record players.
Yeah.
They played 45s and all this, and then the lid of it was a speaker. So you had to put the speaker over. So he got two lids off of two different speakers and made us a stereo system out there. But whenever we come to art class, he played John Denver year round. I mean,
really?
Yeah, he played one side, and then he flipped it over, and when the second side was done, it was time to go to your next class. That's how we listened to that every day, and that was supposed to inspire us today. So there's not a time, I don't care where I'm at, driving down the road, I'm doing something. If I hear a John Denver song, I think of you, Dad.
Really?
Yeah,
that's so neat.
And I know everybody's the same way. Everybody's the same way because we spent a lot of time out there with him, and he didn't have a classroom. They had an old house over there that somebody had lived in, and they moved out, so they turned that into his classroom. So it was his own personal. So in this class, they were drawing. In this class, they were doing pottery. In this class, they were creating painting and just something going on in all the different rooms in that house and stuff. And he had supplies. So I wasn't an artist, so all I got to do was make pottery. So I got to learn how to make little pots and stuff like that.
You still think you could do it?
I don't think so, but I remember I made one pot one time, and I was so proud of it and everything.
Woo!
And he made you feel like you done the best thing in the world when you did. He was just that type of teacher.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was great.
I remember him coming home with tiny, tiny little pots, and we'd use them for our Barbie doll houses.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how they got them that small.
Well, and then another thing, too, is last year I had a young lady in here that was in my class that was, she come from one of the Pueblo tribes, and one day she was just telling me, she said, I have to go home over Christmas. And I said, you going to celebrate? She said, no, I'm going to work. I said, what are you going to do? She said, well, me and my grandma are going to make pottery. So when I said, really? She said, I have to help her get the stuff together. I have to help her I'll make some pots. She said, and then we fire them in an open fire pit. They don't, not in a kiln, but they build a fire around them and stuff. She said, then we do all this. We were paying them to do all this. And I said, really? And I said, I like to see them. She said, well, you might have seen them. They're the black pottery that they sell out there. And you've seen the black pottery out there that they sell all over the country and stuff. And that's her grandmother's one that does that. And I didn't know that. So she was telling me about all that. I said, man, that's awesome. You're famous. She said, no, I'm not. That's my grandma and stuff like that. We just have to help her and stuff. So back in those days, we had the kids that come from the Pebbles that would help the rest of us that didn't know how to make pottery, but they tell us. And it all worked out,
That's what's cool about bringing all these kids together from all these different tribes, and they can share in their
That's been
cultures.
The greatest thing about Riverside, is just to be around that and to learn about them and learn about, that stuff that they, the way they eat, and it's different from what we do and stuff. The rest kids, they'll eat a lot of animals they butcher and stuff they raise, where we go to Sonic in town. We're from town. Exactly.
Ain't nothing wrong with Sonic. They have the best Dr. Pepper there.
Cherry limeades. Well,
that's right.
Cherry limeades.
So bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. but that's just how it was and stuff. And you learn that and stuff. I remember we had a kid in our dorm from Zuni, and we was all being lazy, and it was morning, it's weekend, and we said, he said, I'm going down there and make me an egg sandwich, because we see in the dorm. So go ahead. So he went down and make me an egg sandwich. Okay, so he had made all of us an egg sandwich. Yeah. Well, he liked his with hot sauce on them and onions and everything. So he doctored them up, put them, gave them to everybody's like, boom, take a bite. Whoa, what is this? What'd you do? You wanted an egg sandwich. This is how I make mine.
My mouth is on fire.
Yeah, and we didn't do that around here, but that's the way they were raised. So that type of stuff goes on. Awesome. You just learn so much about it and things.
Yeah, and so it's interesting that you were both student and now teacher. Yeah. And that says a lot about what you thought of Riverside. Because again, I'm trying to help people understand that the boarding schools of yesteryear are very different from what they are today.
Well, even yesteryear, my mom came to school here. And my mom went to school here at Riverside, the old Riverside School. And I want to say my grandmother came for a while. There was different times when they were allowed to come, and there's different times they weren't. Yeah. My mom came out here. My dad went to Fort Sill Indian School, which is in Lawton, which is about 45 miles south of here. Well, when my dad went down there, they went to elementary and they got to junior. When they got to high school, then at that time the government wanted the Navajo Nation to send their kids to boarding schools to get them off the rest, get them more involved. So they sent everybody and local kids home and brought the Navajos in and put them in the boarding school. So my dad and them had to leave the boarding schools to make room for those kids. So there's so many of them. So.
Yeah.
So that's just some of the government's
because y'all
things
were
that went
local.
on. Yeah, because we're local and they could go to a public school, and we had schools available to us in the public realm, which out there they didn't and such. So it just worked out that way. But my mother came here and me, I came here first, and my brothers all came, and then we had a bunch of cousins that once then we found out, how much we enjoyed it, how much success we had in athletics, and all the opportunities available to us. And my aunt and them started sending my cousins out here, and so we had a whole big family out here and such. 2 of my daughters came to school out here, and one of my stepsons, they graduated out here, and my nephews graduated out here.
I feel like y'all need some kind of award for how many generations
but there's a lot of people that's done that and other stuff. I've got, and this is crazy, as long as I've been teaching, I've got kids now that I've taught that I coached their parents whenever they were here.
Wow.
Whenever my first year up here, I coached girls basketball, freshman basketball, and those girls all had children, and those children have came through and already graduated and went on and stuff. So
amazing.
They're going like, you know my mom? Yeah, I know her. And yeah, she played basketball with me. What? My mom played basketball? Yeah, and then they go through all that stuff, and then they're graduating and going like, geez, I've been here forever. I'm seeing these kids graduate. So
it's true though. I mean, it's like we said earlier, makes you feel old, but at the same time, it's kind of cool probably to see all these different generations.
Yeah, it's kind of good. And then the part about going to school here, and I do a lot of cooking, and people say, man, how did you learn how to cook? I went to boarding school. Everybody that went to boarding school learned how to cook. We learned how to do our own laundry, run a vacuum cleaner, fix our beds.
That's great.
Keep everything, keep your living area clean, everything. Take out trash, do the sidewalks, take care of your yard, everything. So it's been good for us and such. And then, you see kids nowadays that don't know how to, make anything other than ramen noodles.
It's true, though.
But, anybody that came to boarding school, they've learned to do that stuff. We had to, but it's good training for all of us. And, getting up early and all those things like that.
Yeah, teaches everybody responsibility. Mm-hmm. So, here we are in your classroom, your gym classroom, and there's actually drums in here, obviously native drums. Yeah. And so kind of a different experience than some kids are going to get at a normal public school. What would you say are the differences between a native coming here versus a Native American going to a public school?
Well, I can speak for myself. When I came here, I was so thrilled to be at a school where there was all Native American teachers or Indian teachers and coaches and stuff. We didn't have that in public schools and stuff. And a lot of people still do that. I mean, they see that same thing when they come here. And then what's available for us as far as what we can do and stuff. Now we have a monthly activity for our students that's traditional. It might be a powwow, it might be a hand game or something like that. They'll play hand game in the gym, or they might have an art contest outside and sidewalk art. There's something going on all the time and everything. And
stickball?
Yeah, they'll do stickball.
Nice.
So they'll play stickball. They'll do stickball, demonstrations, and we have a group here, and these guys are awesome. The Apache dancers that come from the Apache reservation, they dance every day.
Wow.
And they'll go out there and practice and stuff, and they'll have them come in, everybody come in and watch them dance and just support them. And at one, there's one point where we had Zuni dancers, Choctaw dancers, of course Southern Plain dancers, Northern dancers, Crown dancers, all these things taking place and stuff, and we just do these things and such. And I always thought it was something special for me because I used to teach an evening weightlifting class here for fitness and stuff for a bunch of kids over in the main buildings. There's a weight room in there. Then one night I came out, and I used to go back down the hall to my old classroom over there and just leave from there because my truck was parked on the other side. And I had come out of the building, was going to take a shortcut and walk outside because it was such a nice day. And the sun was just going down and everything settling down. And I walked a little ways, and I could hear the Apache dancers with their drum, and you could hear them dancing.
Cool.
So I go a little further and come around a corner, and in one of the corners of the school over there, there's some concrete there, and there's the kids sitting and stuff, and they had the Native American church drums. I don't know if you've ever seen those, the peyote drums. They're just little drums like that, and they drum real fast. And there's 4 or 5 boys over there singing. They're singing there. You could just hear those drums going. Kids sitting around listening to them. And then I went a little further, and when I got back to my truck like that, then they had the big drum like I have over here, and the kids were on the other side, and they were practicing over there. And this was all going on. I said, you're not going to see that in any other school.
And no gym teacher is going to walk around the campus, and that's what they see. It's amazing.
And to see all this stuff, and kids dancing and practicing dancing and stuff, and those type of things. And you'll see kids out there dancing and stuff. And that's a great thing. Because I had gone out on noon duty before I had noon duty, and I went out there. It was cold. And I didn't want to be out there because it was so cold. But there was kids outdoors, so I had to go out there. And they were all kids that were from Montana and Wisconsin and stuff, which not, it's cold to us, but it's not cold to them. They're out there in t-shirts.
True.
So they're playing their, they got a speaker, Bluetooth speaker, and they're playing their powwow music, and they're out there dancing. just practicing dancing and stuff out there. And they're pretty good. And they're in their street clothes, but they're dancing, having a good time. And there I'm over there shaking and freezing and got my Carhartt and gloves on, bundled up, but I'm watching them. But you don't see that at other schools and stuff, at a public school and those type of things. That's what makes it special here. Makes it special, just like we have Indian tacos for lunch at the cafeteria.
Right.
Yeah.
So jealous.
Yeah, when they have them probably once a month or maybe even more often than that.
Yeah. Do they learn how to make the Indian tacos here?
Yeah, they do have some of the teachers and some of the groups get together and they'll teach them how to make fry bread and those type of things.
Yeah.
And let them put them together and all that stuff. So it's just something always going on. They're teaching them how to. In the summer and then last year we had a couple of classes that the young ladies were able to make the ribbon skirts everybody's wearing.
Nice.
So they made their own ribbon skirts. The boys were in there sewing and they made their own ribbon shirts.
Nice.
To wear when they're dancing. They make gores. They do all this stuff. So there's always something going on like that around here for the kids. And even in my day, there was a lot of activities like that going on for us to learn.
How do you think it's changed because I remember when my dad worked here, coming here in the 70s and 80s, and how do you think it's changed from even those decades to now?
To now, one of the biggest changes I've seen is that it's not a bad thing, but just the way society is now. Mm-hmm. We used to have co-ed dorms. You can't do that no more.
Okay.
And then there's young ladies that I went to high school with that they were living in our cottages. We call the dorms cottages, and they were our cottage sisters. So we still call each other brother and sister after all these years. We're up in age now. It's been forever, and so we still refer to them as our sisters and brothers and stuff like that. And now it's still that way to a certain extent, but then now you got boys dorm, girls dorm and stuff like that. Right. They keep them separate, so you don't have that interaction there. And those type of things, and then just a lot of things like that go on, and things change because of laws and things that going on and stuff and everything. And there's a lot of things that even here recently, I don't know if you've seen the big fence around the campus and stuff. Yeah. A big fence around there, and I didn't like it when I first seen it because it kind of took away from the aesthetics of campus and stuff. But in Oklahoma, we have this whole problem with the prairie hogs, and they come around and come in. They've been right up outside the window
really?
Here. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And wild hogs and stuff, and you can't let kids go out and stuff. So that's really, they put it up to keep them out. And I guess it's worked because we don't see any marks. Or, they're not around here and that type of stuff.
Yeah, the hogs are very dangerous.
Yeah.
Anywhere they're dangerous, but for them to just be roaming around. I mean, it's beautiful out here too. Lots of country, lots of trees. So
yeah, and they would just walk around. They go over there, and then we had a lot of vermin, like skunks and stuff, coming to the trash cans and stuff. That's normal anywhere you go, but we don't have that as much anymore. The only thing we get that sometimes down by the gate. I guess the deer will come in there and feed on this grass, and then they're trying to get out and they're stuck inside. So the coach next door and I will walk up on a hill, and we'll open the gates, and then all the deer will go out. So. Yeah, and then once they go out, then we'll go back out and shut it. So we rescue them. So it's just things like that.
Yeah.
Makes it fun here.
Yeah.
Makes things good.
Well, I hear from some other teachers that sometimes it's actually a better situation for kids to come here than to be at home. Just like with any ethnicity, sometimes there's hard times at home. Do you see that too? Do you feel like some people come here and even in gym class, obviously it's a great chance for people to let out some of that frustration and have a change of pace?
Yeah, coming here, him being Navajo, my colleague next door, we had another guy that was here. He was a local guy, but he was a Navajo woman, and they came out, and he came back to work here. Well, he said that the schools were so far away to ride the buses for them. It was 2.5 to 3 hour ride out in the res to get to the school, and then go to class all day and take them back. So there was a lot in the wintertime, it got hard and stuff. So. And then, there's people that, they couldn't get their kids transported, so they said it's better for our kids to come there because then they're safer and it's all taken care of. And, the amount of safety things that go on here, this is probably one of the safest schools in the nation right now.
Yeah.
And so we have all the drills. We know what to do as far as the active shooter drills and suicide prevention, all the things. We got people on it all the time working on them and stuff like that. So, this day and time, it is safer for kids to be here and stuff.
Yeah, when I drive up here, I have to go through the guard at the gate, and then I have to check in at the front desk, and very secure.
Yeah, it's very secure like that and stuff. And then we're taught to recognize that not anybody can just come on campus. And in old days they used to, my grandma would come up, pick you up, and go to town.
Yeah.
Nobody even knew you was gone or anything. But now it has to be real secure in that respect.
For sure.
Like that. Yeah.
For sure.
So, and that's been one of the biggest things. There's a lot of laws and things like that that's come along that we've had to adhere to, but it's for the betterment of the kids and stuff. And then, just the kids, since we went virtual, we sent all the kids Chromebooks.
Mm-hmm.
In town they don't have Chromebooks. They don't have stuff like
Because
that.
of COVID right now, you're having to get them the equipment.
So now we have to make sure they got that. They got the hotspot. They learn how to use them and all that. And then once they get back here, we'll have everything. We've got new smart boards.
Oh, those are amazing.
Yeah, the smart
so
boards.
the government provides
that's
the BIA or
the
BIE?
School. Well, most of the stuff that we have now, BIE provides for everything. Most of it came from COVID relief funds and stuff, just like everybody's getting around the country and stuff. We just chose to do it this way and stuff.
Yeah. So you said you have generations of your own family that have come here.
Yeah.
And daughter, a granddaughter?
Yeah, my daughter.
Your daughter, and then any grandkids?
Not yet. He's coming next year.
Okay. Oh, congrats.
No, he's supposed to come this year, but since we had COVID, he didn't. So.
Oh, okay. So you will have a grandson, then your daughter, and then yourself. Then your mother and father, or just your mother?
Yeah, my mother went Riverside. My dad went to Fort Sill.
Okay.
And back in those days, Fort Sill was like our arch enemies. Nobody likes Fort Sill. They didn't like us. They still don't. So,
Do you play them in sports?
No, they're closed.
They're closed now.
They're closed
That's right.
But when it was just a war. I mean, we didn't like them and everything. It was just the worst enemies you could ever have.
Really? And why is that, you think?
Just school rivalries.
Yeah.
Just school rivalries and stuff. It's like any other schools.
Did you play sports?
Yeah. I played everything they had to play up here. We got to come this fun. Now we're running cross country, played basketball, ran track, played baseball.
Yeah.
If there's a bus leaving, we got on it and went and played and stuff.
Right.
Because when we live out in the country, there was just a small farm school, and there was just they either played basketball or baseball, or we was in FFA and all that stuff. Farmers and stuff like that. So that's why we came out here, so we had more things available. They had band and all these things. So.
Right.
But it was just so much fun to be out here doing something different.
Yeah. So that's 4 generations right there with your mom and your dad at Fort Sill, but we won't talk about that yet. So your mom and then her parents went here? Or?
Yeah, I want to say my grandma went to school. I don't know for sure, but I think they pretty did. Because there was a lot of kids that came out for a while and they left and went back home.
Okay.
I think when my grandma was out here.
Any others before that, you
don't think so. I think school, it would be too close to the start of school.
Yeah, because for our listeners, this is the 150th year anniversary here in 2021, so it's super exciting. And it sounds like you guys had some really fun things planned, but it's been put off a little bit. But we will be back in 2022 to be sure to celebrate with y'all with the powwows and all kinds of things happening to celebrate, right?
Games, just different activities, speakers, and everything going on.
Be great.
And we just got a whole bunch of plans and stuff.
Yeah. And you said you're going to call it 150 years plus one?
Yeah, 150 plus one.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. It's going to be just like the Olympics. They were supposed to happen last year. They had them this year and stuff.
Yeah.
So they just went a year later. So it's going to work. So
yeah.
It's going to work for us.
Absolutely. And so I'd love to hear more about, you mentioned your Ohama, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a Kiowa, is it a clan or?
It's a society.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a society.
Yeah, can you tell me more about that?
The Omaha Society, there's such a, it goes way back to the 1800s.
Yeah.
And the thing about our Omaha Society within the Kiowa tribe and within all the tribes in the area, back in the early 1900s, about 1900, somewhere around in there, they had the government, you can look it up, the government stepped in and said, we're going to stop all the dancing.
Right.
You can't dance no more. You can't do they stopped the sun dance, the ghost dance, they stopped the gork dance, all these things. Our society, Oklahoma, was the only ones that didn't stop. We went into hiding. We hid our drums. There's a place called Redstone out here, and you probably know where it's at, right west of Hog Creek and stuff. Mm-hmm. But they hid the drums out there. There's caves out there, and they hid the drums, all their pipes and everything.
There were caves out there. That's cool.
They hid them out there, and then they would get them out and dance when they wanted to dance. Once a year they danced, but they would dance other times too. Then they would take them back, and the cavalry couldn't find them, and the government couldn't find them. They did, and they just knew they were dancing, but they didn't know. And they would move it all the time and stuff, where the rest of them all shut down. Then they would revive the other organizations in the 50s and such, and came back. So it all turned out good. But our group has been going since about they said 1870, but near as I can pinpoint it exactly, would be around 1878, somewhere around there.
Wow.
And just in the research that I've done and stuff, and people that wrote. And I got a lot of information about our group, of course, from Tawana Spivey, but I read this book called Carbine and Lance, the story of Fort Sill. And you can pick that book up anywhere and stuff, but it gives you a whole history about the tribes in this area and how they moved and where they lived at. Case in point, like the Wichita Mountains. You know where the Wichita Mountains are?
Yes, sir.
On? I didn't know the Wichita Mountains was named after the Wichita tribe right here. And all my life, I didn't know that until I read this book. Because that's where the Wichita tribe used to live, right there at the base of the mountains, because they were farmers and there's good cropland and water. And
Right.
all that, where all the tribes, Kiowa Comanche Apaches were nomad, so they moved around a lot. But those tribes stayed right there. And just little things like that I picked up in those books and stuff like that.
That's
really
a great
good.
book, and you said it's Carbon and Lance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Carbon and Lance, yeah. The story of Fort Sill, that's what they call it. It tells about all the movement of the tribes and what went on and everything, and how people was transported back and forth and on trains and different things like that, and how they tried to corral the tribes and they would get away. And the Kiowas, they had, tribes had camps out there by Cutthroat Gap, they call it, out there by the mountains all the way out to Wolf Creek, out by Hobart and stuff. They would move around and stuff like that. So it's all written in those books and stuff like that. And that's what I was doing, researching and stuff. And I got a lot of information when they sent some Kiowas to Fort Marion in Florida. There's a whole story behind that, why they went. When they came back, they weren't really in the prison setting where they're behind bars. They were in just an area, and they could go into the little town next there and work there.
Yeah.
Go to school. So a lot of them went to school there, learned to read and write. And so when they came back, they decided, the kids that came back, or the people that came back, wanted more education. So the tribes got with the government agents, and they decided to go ahead and send them. They went back to Carlisle.
Okay.
And then when they got to Carlisle, that's where Jim Thorpe was at and everything. When they got to Carlisle, then they taught them how to read, write, and educate them and stuff. So and one of the things they done was that all these kids that went there were made to keep journals, and they kept real accurate journals and a lot of information there. So I got hold of one of the journals, reading it,
so cool.
and that's where I found out a lot about where our Omaha group came from and the things that went on with them. Yeah, it was through that research through there, and be able to read those journals and stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So, and it just takes time to do that kind of stuff. You got time, it really does. And so, and that's where I learned a lot about what happened and stuff, and how they all say, well, we got they call it a tail bustle. They got the feathers, the bustle, the medicine bustle from the Cheyenne tribe, and the Cheyenne tribe had gotten it from the Omaha tribe in Nebraska. So they brought it down here and they gave it to the Cheyennes, and they brought that dance down with this. So whenever they come back from Fort Marion, then they give that to the Kiowa tribe.
So when it comes to the Ware name, do you know where Ware comes from?
Where was that? There was, like I said, my branch of the family, our great-grandfather was named Kiowa, Harry Ware. They named him that. And at one time, the tribes would come in there, and the people would come in, they had a name. Well, the government couldn't spell it. What's your name? You tell them. Well, they couldn't spell it, so they just gave them names. Right. So, well, you're going to be Harry, or you're going to be Jim, or Alvin, or something like that. So they went through and gave them these names. Well, these four brothers, they worked, and at that time, the government was just starting to provide blankets and food for the tribes in this area. They would come over there and pick up their rations, so the call, or whatever supplies they needed that the government was providing for them, all these things. And when they did, these four brothers, they had a job. They're working in that warehouse. So they were providing, stuff would come in, they'd stack it up, and then whenever they were giving it out, they would go in the warehouse and give it to these people. So when they were starting to name them and stuff, they come up and they said, well, your name's Kiowa, they know how to spell it, and so on and so forth, those four brothers. So they just give him the name Harry, and they gave him, he worked in a warehouse, and give him the last name Ware. So that's where it came from and stuff.
Interesting. It doesn't sound anything like the original name or anything. Yeah,
it don't sound nothing like it and stuff. And on my mom's side, my great-grandfather's name was, how do you say that? Let's see. Hog, yeah. It's how you say it in Kiowa, which meant they couldn't kill him. The government tried to kill him, but they couldn't kill him, that old man. And so they just changed his name to James and Humpy. They just give him that name and stuff. So it just don't even sound like that altogether.
They couldn't kill him, too.
Yeah, they couldn't kill
James.
him. That probably killed him more than anything.
I know, he's like, what?
Yeah.
What kind of name is that?
Yeah. But there was a lot of people like that, received names, like different things like that, or somebody was around.
So quick question for you on a personal side.
Yes.
Ware's Chapel out in Hog Creek, where I was raised, it's significant to my family because my sister was married out there, and every time we went to town, we would pass Ware's Chapel. Are you related at all to?
Yeah, that's my family out there. In fact, I just came off. I was for about 15 years. I was administrative chairman out there at the chapel.
Oh, you
taking care of
were?
the church, yeah. Taking care of the
Okay.
Methodist side, the business side of it. And
Yeah.
everything. So I spent a lot of years out there.
So is it a historical church? Does it go back a
Yes,
ways?
it does.
Or?
It goes back to early 1900s. Whenever there was 3 churches there. The present church that you see out there is the one that was built in, I believe, the 90s, late 80s or 90s.
Oh, yeah.
But the ones before that, was built probably in the 60s, and the one before that was built in like 1900. Back whenever they would have to get the lumber out there to build the church, they would go to Chickasha and load the bricks up and the lumber and bring it in a wagon and team, which means horses pulling a wagon. They bring it out there. They went to the mountains to get the stones to build the foundations and stuff and all that. So it took them probably 3 years to build that church.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it still standing out there? Because all I
No,
see
the old
is
church is all the old one was torn down. It just got in a safety hazard and everything.
Yeah.
And then the second church is still standing out there now.
And again, when was that one built?
That was built in the 60s, I believe. Yeah,
Okay.
something like that, 60s. And it was just a small church and everything that was used there.
Was it always called Ware's Chapel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ware's Chapel.
So it goes way
Ware's
back.
Chapel United Methodist Church.
Wow. And so your family, that's obviously a family church passed down.
Yeah.
Do you know the original pastor and founder of the church?
That, I have to go back and look. I mean, I know who it is, but there's been so many people coming through there and such.
Yeah.
But there was 4 original Ware brothers and other ones that started that church. And now these 4 families has been branched out more out of one. Our branch of the family, his name was Harry Ware. Or his Kiowa name was Kiowa. So that's where our branch of the family comes. Now there's a guy here that's working on the roof that I was telling you about, A.J. DeVilla. He come out of that one of the branches of the families. And there was like 4 brothers, like I said, and they all, so it's a big family and stuff.
Yeah.
The Ware family and such.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Anadarko, I always knew a lot of Wares.
Yeah. Yeah,
So you were given a task in school to write a paper on something, right?
Yeah, I was asked to, we all, everybody that was a senior was asked to take a subject and write about it. So mine was the Great Depression. And so I asked my professor if I could write a paper on how the Great Depression affected the Native Americans, Kiowas, tribes in this area. So he agreed to it, and he said, just like, told me how to cite the people I went to talk to. So I said, well, I don't talk to anybody, I'm going to talk to my grandma, because she was alive during the Great Depression. So I went and visited with her. We sat down and we talked, and she started telling me different stories about different things. Well, at that point, you read the newspapers around the country, people was losing everything they had. Going to California and the Great Depression and the Grapes of Wrath and all that type of stuff. You see that type of things. And with her, she said that they just stayed put. The tribes around here were used to relying on themselves, relying on their ability to provide for themselves. And I said through hunting and fishing and raising their own vegetables. She said she had a big old huge garden where she raised potatoes and just everything you be at the market now, she raised in her garden and stuff. And they had hogs they raised for meat, and they raised chickens for, they used that for meat, and they sold the eggs and all these things that they were, they go fishing and collect fish and stuff. She would take these things they gathered up like that into town, into Apache, and sell them. And when she was doing that, she sold all her eggs and, chickens to people that was hungry, and the grocery stores didn't have all this stuff, and vegetables, and she had accumulated enough wealth off of buying that she was able to buy a new car at that time, because the price of cars during the Great Depression had just plummeted, and they were like, giving them away more or less. If you had the money, you could buy one. And she did. She bought herself a new car from selling eggs and stuff like that, because they were used to it, and they never deprived the family of anything.
They're used to living off the land anyway.
Yeah, they had that stuff, and they would always do those things. They always had something to eat and, those type of things. So it's just one of those things that happen. We don't think about things like that. You only know what you read in the history books about, the Great Depression was a depressing time, which, our traditional people, they live good.
Exactly.
Yeah, they live good.
For centuries, they lived off the land.
And they still do to this day. They still do that and stuff. They figure out a way to do those things.
That's exciting. I love that.
But that was another story she told me. She tells those stories and teaches these things and stuff. And she told me that her grandma, I think it was her grandma or her great grandma, was born in the teepee out in the plains somewhere in West Texas plains. And her grandmother was born during the daytime, and it was during the full eclipse. So when the sun went over when the moon went in front of the sun, the whole countryside got dark. I don't know if you ever seen an eclipse before, but it gets dark. Yeah. So the whole land was dark. The baby was born, so they named this baby the day the sun died. That was her grandmother's name in Comanche. Was the
beautiful.
Yeah, the day the sun died, and that's what she was known for the rest of her life and stuff. So and I had told that story to some of my aunts, and they said, "Well, I didn't know that." And I said, "Well, you didn't listen. I listened."
Right, I actually listened.
Yeah, I actually listened. And
yeah,
stuff.
because they tell us these things when we're younger, and then once they pass on, we're like, "Did we even listen?"
Yeah, and then of course, my grandma was like all the old grandmas you hear. They only wake up early in the morning, they're outside praying, or they're in there praying. The sun's coming up, they're out there praying. Then they're fixing breakfast and they're getting everything ready to start the day and those type of things. That's the kind of grandmother I had and stuff. It was just awesome. Or she'd be up singing tribal hymns or singing songs. We learned and wake up, grandma singing, everything's going to be good. You're going to have a good day today.
Wow,
and
I
it
love
was
that.
Way. Yeah, she was
nice
cooking
positive
biscuits.
way to wake up.
So, and music has been something good in our family. To this day we still sing. I sing all the time and make up little songs for the kids and stuff like that. And they got their own songs. They love them and stuff.
Yeah.
And we do a live Facebook feed at our church down here. Last year during when the pandemic started and everything was shut down, nobody could go anyplace. So they shut the churches down. So we would go down to church and we would social distance. There's probably 10 of us go down there. And we would go live and sing tribal hymns. And we go an hour every Tuesday night and stuff. And that thing just grew. I mean, the first night we had 300 people view it. The second night, 600. Third night, 1,000. It went up. We've had as many as 2,500 people.
I shared one of those on my Facebook.
Yeah. We watched, we've had those on there. And then when we got the big drum and went out there, and we went over 5,000 views with just the big drum singing outside and, during the pandemic and stuff. We had people writing to us from Canada saying, man, we love your music,
And that's right here in Ware's Chapel, Hog Creek. Was it Ware's Chapel?
Yeah, just Ware's Chapel out
Hog
there
Creek,
in our area,
Anadarko.
right down here, just in our little corner of the world. But we was able to share, and, at that time, nobody was doing anything. Nobody could travel out of their homes, but they would tune in on those nights and stuff and watch us and listen to us and stuff.
And what's cool was there were all age groups there.
Yeah.
So that means, the songs really are passing down.
And then the thing too is that I had a lot of people say, "Hey, we're learning those songs. We're listening to y'all sing. Well, that's why we sing. We want you to learn. Help us sing. You can sing them. We sang that tribal Kiowa birthday song every week for people that's having a birthday that week, and people know it now. And more people that know that song will sing it now.
That's
and
great.
Then, that's just how it is and stuff. And that's how you teach them and stuff. Keep singing them over and over. And one of my grandsons, I sang him a song when he was little. And he got growing up and everything, and he told me, he said, "Papa, you're going to have to make me a new song." And he said, "That was my baby song." I said, "Okay, I'll think of you a song." He said, "But this time, make a cool song. Don't make one of those songs." So,
make something good.
Yeah, make something good this time. We're like, what?
So, do you mind sharing the happy birthday song with us right now?
Yeah, let's see. Onde, doki ate, say doki antano, no e pegon tarano. And that song references the birth of Christ and, those type of things. So they sing that for anybody that's having a birthday now.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so the birthday song for that.
Was that in Kiowa or in Comanche?
Kiowa.
Can you also do Comanche?
There's a Comanche song, but I didn't learn that one yet. Yeah, so that's a whole different one.
So do you speak fluently? Can you speak Kiowa?
I don't speak fluently either language, but I understand it. But I do sing both languages and stuff. I sing Kiowa hymns, sing Comanche hymns, I'll sing tribal songs and stuff like that.
Beautiful.
So we get to do that too.
Are there any Kiowa hymns you'd like to share today? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
well,
I wouldn't say no.
We sang so many Kiowa Comanche hymns now, and see our grandmother being Comanche, that's all she sang. So we learned the Comanche hymns, and our dad and our grandpa was Kiowa, so we learned those too. So we sang them both, both editions or both types of songs and stuff. A Kiowa hymn that we'll sing all the time is. Do que I pagaido gero de pedo anam tama. Do que I pagaido gero de pedo anam tama. Anam tama. Anam tama. Do que I pagaido gero de pedo anam tama. And that's a Kiowa hymn. And at the same time, the Comanche's got a different style of singing and stuff. And Comanche hymns will sing is Jesus nami sutanara, nami sutanara. Jesus nami sutana, nami sutana, nami sutanara. Anatsio panara, nami sutanara. So you can see the difference in both of those,
can.
just by listening
really
to them
can.
and the speed they sang, and they're just praise songs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and that's just stuff we grew up with. Was lucky to do that, and then teaching it, and all my children sing those same songs. They can sing them all, and the Comanche versions too, and stuff like that. So it's been good for us.
That's definitely a gift that you're giving them.
Yeah, well, I've had people at our church say, you guys have a gift. I said, it's just that's the way we grew up. There wasn't a time when somebody wasn't singing something in there.
Right.
Children's
it's
songs,
just part of your lifestyle.
Children's songs, writing songs, powwow songs and stuff. And then after my dad passed away a few years back, and my uncles and everybody, that generation above us all passed that was singing, then it fell upon us. So we didn't really, if we wanted them to continue, we had to carry on. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's why we have 2 drums here, 2 at the home, hand drums, everything, which I always try to teach somebody. And we got a good group of singers now that go around and sing and help out, do whatever they can, whether it's hymns, whether it's big drum, and those type of things.
When you say they go around singing, is it to different churches or?
The hymns, we go around different churches and stuff, but the big drum we'll take to the powwows. I mean, we've been all over the state. We've been to Red Earth. We've been to just almost every big powwow around this countryside. People invite us. We go sing for them and those different things. And they treat us well and everything. They want that old style of singing.
Exactly.
That came back and all. I was my best friend, his dad passed away, and his dad had a whole collection of music, whether all different genres, country, everything, but he had a lot of tribal music too. And he had some Kiowa albums, so he said, let's listen to these Kiowa albums. So we pulled them out, and they're the old 78s, the red ones. So we put it on there and listened to that. And then the same songs that we're singing today were the ones that were singing in 1934 when this was made. So the same exact songs. And
so it's passed down nicely. Yeah. Good job to the people that have been passing it down.
So everything just goes the same, and it's going to go on beyond this and stuff. So, that's great that we're able to do that stuff. Listen, sing those songs, and understand why we're singing them. And there's songs for everything. In fact, our Omaha, you knew what was going on in the camp arena about what was being sang and stuff. What the songs they were singing.
Yeah.
If somebody, there's a mourning song. So if somebody had passed or somebody was coming out in the morning, you hear that song going on. Somebody died over there, so you go over and see and be with them and support them and stuff. Or sometimes there's a birth, like our family, or somebody done something. They'll have a giveaway song. They're proud they're going to have a big giveaway because that took place over here and that type of stuff. And just different things like that.
I think that the majority of people in the U.S. probably don't even know that there are pockets of people out there still doing this. Mm-hmm. I grew up around it, so it was normal to me, even though I'm Choctaw. Mm-hmm. There were no Choctaws here. Yeah. I grew up around the Kiowa and Apache and Comanche, but I think sometimes people don't even realize there are people out there still doing these things and living their culture. My
granddaughter was just born. My son, they moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And they live in a little place called Woodstock, Georgia, right north of Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And this is their first interaction they ever had with Native Americans, in their family and stuff. And they're just amazed and thrilled, and they're just really happy that they have a Native American granddaughter down there now.
No, yeah,
and those type of things. And she don't look like none of them, being dark hair
with that
and
black hair.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so pretty.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's so cute. You must be so proud.
And they're excited to meet us. We haven't exactly met them yet. And it's just been the way it all came about in the last year was that, my son's fiance is going to get married in the spring of next year. They were going to do it this year because of the pandemic. They never did. They worked at the airlines together. That's where he works. And she was stationed in Houston. And they sent her to Tulsa to work, and she got up there, and she was just there for a couple of weeks. She got up there, met Ben, and then the rest is history and stuff. So that's how they brought the families together. And so they're going to learn about us, we're going to learn about them, but we're excited, and all because of this little girl ties us all together. Yeah,
that's right. I love it.
Yeah, they're going to tie us together and everything. So
So did you grow up out in Hog Creek?
We grew up at Ware Road, south of Hog Creek, probably about 4 miles south of Hog Creek, somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, going towards Apache. Go to Apache Y and go south. We grew up out there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, in that area.
We were before you get to the Apache
Yeah.
Y. We were off of Highway 9. Did you know where our house was? It was on the north side? Okay.
Yes, it's up on the hill.
Yeah, it's burned down now, unfortunately. But so, like I said, every time we went to church, went to town, because I homeschooled, so we were home most of the time. But every time we pass and go to town for something exciting, we pass Ware's Chapel and all that. And so I'm kind of circling back, I think, in my head to.
Did you get to go to Jerry's Fruit Stand and get a snow
yes.
cone?
Oh my gosh! I went out there the other day and took some pictures. It's closed down right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because of
Well, the old man Jerry and his wife passed away, and they passed it on to Roger and his daughter. Roger Beaver and his daughter, and they passed from the COVID last year.
No.
Yeah, so they've had the whole thing shut down. In fact, I helped a lady work on her house that just came down, and she was one of the reasons why they just came down. They were going to clean out the house and start trying to put everything back in order for the younger generations and stuff to try to help them get situated in the home and everything. So, I don't know if they opened
Jerry's
up
fruit stand again.
Yeah.
I hope they'll kind of carry.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will and stuff. But it's just kind of hard hit. And, for the family to have those losses now.
That's so sad. Yeah, Jerry's fruit stand was the best. My mom would say, "Y'all get in the car. We're going to go get some snow cones." And Mr. Jerry was always so nice to us, and
get
I
a snow
loved
cone
it.
and a watermelon or something.
That's
like
right.
That. Yeah.
He had that really loud ice maker thing for the snow
You're
cones.
just sitting there waiting.
Yes. Yeah. For our listeners, there's this little fruit stand out at Hog Creek. So Hog Creek is about 5 miles west of Anadarko. And so obviously Terry and I lived out that direction. But the whole community would come out to Jerry's fruit stand, and it's this little, it has a little tin roof on it and stuff, but it's just these little wire mesh little rooms in there where you could pick up tomatoes or, of course, the snow cones. You couldn't go there without having a snow cone.
Yeah.
And Mr. Jerry was always so nice. I didn't really know his wife as much, I think, but I always knew Mr. Jerry. So much
And
fun.
this next generation, after he did, they built a little thing on the side there, and they would sell fireworks on the 4th of July.
Good
so
idea.
everybody would go there for the 4th of July for the
Smart.
fireworks and stuff, yeah. And then, they'd open up and be up till late at night, because in town, they had to shut them down early.
Yeah.
During the 4th of July week, but out there you could go all night. So there were people coming
Exactly.
out there and getting snow cones and fireworks in the middle of the night.
That's right.
Yeah,
Our whole
'cause
church
it
used
was.
to come out to our house on 4th of July and do the fireworks.
Do the fireworks and everything.
So
That's country living, though. That's how
it is. It's the best. I wouldn't have had it any other
Yeah.
way. We used to run around without shoes. We'd get in the bull nettles.
Yeah,
Lots of fun.
Bull nails and all those things.
Things that stick in your
See
legs.
snakes and
Yeah.
run-ins with snakes and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Play with them, let them go. Hope you didn't get bitten.
Snapping turtles, all that good stuff.
I loved it out there. So I don't know if so where our house was, we could ride our horses or walk down into this pasture there was a tunnel under the road. And then we'd go into this canyon down there. And it was beautiful down there. There was a small pond and then like a little river that ran through there.
Yeah.
And I think an oil company owns that land now. But it was so beautiful. We used to love going down there.
Yeah, go down to the canyon down there, and there's still canyons out there like that and stuff. And you go out there now, they put up a lot of the wind turbine things and stuff like that. They're all over out there. But I understand why they're doing that and stuff for the future. I don't.
It is kind of sad though. Like it
Yeah,
really messes up the beautiful view out there.
Beautiful view of the mountains and everything that's out there. But I
so
understand why
pretty.
they're doing that stuff. But yeah, you go down there to the creeks and to the ponds and right down in there and see what's going on. And I took my little guys out there, let them hike around one time, and they were just wanting to fall into the creek and get muddy and all that stuff. And they found some cow bones, and they were just thrilled. Yeah, and
It's the country living.
yeah, they found a cow that was half eaten, and they're just like, "Whoa, look at this!" And they're over there, and the coyotes got it, and just stuff like that. But
nature.
you don't see that in town. Kids don't see this kind of stuff in
Yeah.
town. They go out there and fish and that type of stuff. You can see the fish in the water, and you're trying to catch them, and you run across a skunk or something. And everybody runs, and just life in the country. That's just it.
It's the best.
Yeah. It is. It still is.
We'd go out there for hours. Sometimes there'd be wild dogs out there and they'd chase us.
Wild dogs and all that stuff out there.
Yeah.
And bobcats and all kinds of coyotes. Sun's going down, the coyotes start hollering, and you're in the country and stuff.
You're out there. It was so dark out there too.
Yeah, it's
so dark.
we in fact we were sweating where we have our sweat out there, and we rode out the other night, Wednesday night. We went out there, and it got dark on us because it's getting dark earlier.
Yeah.
And the coyotes were just going off and everything, and it just really reminds you of home and stuff.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, you just get out there and you just sit out there and just spend more time out there. I've gone out there in the wintertime when it's really cold and built a big fire down there in our sweat and just sat out there and just, just kind of grounds you. You know, just kind of get everything in perspective in there because you get so busy, school, work, life.
It's true.
But, I go out there and build a fire and just sit there and just watch the fire burn and just, drink coffee or soda or something and just relax and, just kind of everything calms down. You feel better when you come out of there.
There is something so true about what you're saying there. It's a kind of this pulling in your soul. Sometimes when I drive from, right now I live in Illinois, my husband's job transfers us around. Living in Illinois, I drive down here, it's about 12 hours, and the closer I get to Oklahoma, there's more of this feeling of home and something that makes me slow down a little bit and just enjoy and breathe more. And then I get to my mom's house and I breathe some more. And there's almost every time I come here, I go visit the place where we used to live. The owner there is really nice. He let me go in there, take pictures the other day, even though the house is burned down. And it was just that same thing, that same feeling of just like, and the sun used to go down over the west, over the prairie, and it was just beautiful, that like orangey gold sun, especially in the fall.
The sunsets and all that.
Yeah,
the memories you have of a kid like that, it's just real important in those type of things. Just get away from everything that goes on out there. You seem like a million miles away, and you could just be 10 miles away.
It's true.
Go out there in the forest and build a fire and cook some hot dogs or anything. Just sit out there and just relax.
So this is mine and Terry's message to everybody, to take a minute and breathe.
Yeah, take a minute and see nature.
Go to the country.
Get out there. We was in a month ago. We was in Houston. My son lived in Houston before we moved to Atlanta. Jeez, the number of cars, the people.
They drive so. I lived down there too.
Yeah, it's just cars going everywhere and everything. And when I was going, I said, "This big city life ain't for me." And then all weekend, my grandson kept saying that. This big city life ain't for us, is it, Papa? No.
It's not for us.
Home. Let's go home. We kept saying, let's go home.
That's so cute.
Go home. In Anadarko right now, you drive down the street in our little town here, and there's a dog laying in the street. The car's going to go around it.
Right.
Or somebody's going to find their dog and take you back to them and stuff like that. Everybody knows where everybody lives and everything, know about everything. You don't find that in the cities and stuff like that.
Like here in Oklahoma, you have a flat tire. You might not just have one person stop. You might have two people stop and help you. And can I give you a ride? Everybody's so nice.
And we'll fix your tire and stuff like that. So it's just great. That's just the life here and stuff.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was telling me he had some relatives come from Boston. They were driving around in town, and you see everybody waves at each other in the car. That's just, driving out in the country to the next town, and you see people just wave at each other. And, you say, what? How do they know you? I don't know who that is, but they wave, I'm going to wave back, and that's just being, just how it is. Those type of things.
That's just being Okie.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Being Okie, Oklahoma. How great it is.
Oh, I love it. So, where Jerry's fruit stand is, I think it's almost right across the road from there is that cemetery. Is that a Ware's family cemetery?
Yeah, that's a Ware family cemetery. They call it the Hog Creek Cemetery. It has to do with the church too, but it's out there. Okay. And that's mainly the people in the community that are buried up in there and stuff like that. I
noticed somebody had dumped a bunch of trash out there recently, and so there was I don't know if it was a councilman or somebody came out and was trying to help clean that up, which I thought was really nice.
I don't know if it was dumping some of the trash out there, but it was just like a Memorial Day, they come and take the old flowers off, put them in the trash cans, and then the dogs turn the trash and they blow around and stuff like that. That's what happened. Okay. So they were trying to clean it up and get it all cleaned up and stuff, or people would come out there and remove the old flowers, and that's a big deal to put flowers on people's graves and stuff here and keep them up. And they do that pretty well and stuff, but I think that's what happened was the wind was blowing and the dogs were digging around and just, this is how it is, so they cleaned it all back up.
Okay. Because I was outraged for a minute until you just told me that. Okay.
Yeah, and that's, it's like that all over and stuff like that,
Well, it's the Oklahoma wind.
Yeah, it's always blowing here, and you're going to blow stuff up from all directions and stuff. That's just the way it is here.
So true.
And we got dogs that'll just bother everything. I don't care what it is.
And again, there's dogs. That's usually how we got our dogs. Dogs would just come into the yard or from the pasture, and we're like, oh, that's a cute dog. I guess he's our dog now.
Yeah, they just hang around there and feed them.
Yeah, lots of ticks. You'd have to get the ticks off.
Yeah, get the ticks off. Well, I lived out at Stucker, which is about 5 miles south of probably 6 miles south of Ware's Chapel out there. And I lived out there in my mom's house for a while, and I had like 8 dogs out there. They were just straight and come up and different sizes, shapes, colors, and everything. They were there, and nothing ever come around the house. Nobody bothered. I remember the Terminex guy come out to spray the house one time, and he drives in the yard, and the dogs were in the woods and trees around there. He didn't see them, so he gets off and starts walking. Here they come, barking. They wouldn't bite or nothing. They were just excited. Yeah. And he runs and dives in the back of his truck, and I go out there, and the dogs are running around circling in the truck. And it's just how it is and stuff,
Lots of dogs.
Yeah, just a lot of dogs and cats and stuff.
Yeah, they just want to say hi.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and a lot of times they'd eat rabbits and whatever they could find to eat, and sometimes we fed them, sometimes we didn't. They just usually took care of themselves.
Yeah, they found a way, found them something to drink.
That's right, and they were happy.
Yeah.
They loved being out there in their element.
And they just love to sleep too. You see them laying out on the ground, sleep in the sun and everything.
So when we were talking earlier, kind of circling back to the Ware's family and the man who originally started the church, and do you know what kind of church it was back then?
It was just they were just called Indian missions back then. They were just I can't remember what they're called now, but they were coming in and they're setting up. The missionaries come in and
like the Presbyterians or the Methodists.
Yeah, it's something like that. Just different organizations come in. They set them up, and then after they got the churches going and everything, then they started deciding whether they would be Methodist or Baptist or something like that. And some of them churches have been there for over 100 years and stuff.
Wow.
The one, the Mount Scott, Kiowa down there by the mountains, it's been there over 100 years. They had a 100-year anniversary. And the one out by Rainy Mountain out south of Mountain View, that's a Baptist church out there, and it's been there for that many years and those type of things. And that's a good place too if you want to do your family trees, to go out there and you can see their graves with the markers, and they always have them dated, Yeah. If that was your great grandma and stuff like that, and you can understand those things, kind of follow the family line and stuff.
For sure.
That's it, and those type of things. So that's how missionaries really started all those things. The schools and everything that went on and everything. And there was a big change of things when they started transitioning from teepee living to house living and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of the big changes came from, police forces and things like that. And I was able to redo some research and say, hey, your grandpa was the first police. What? No, he wasn't. Yeah, he was. He was a cop. You got to straighten up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's written.
Doing
sure
proud.
They were. They found out they appointed a Kiowa police force, because the people that was changing, there was a lot of stuff going on, activities going on and stuff, so they wanted them to, learn how to police themselves. So they did their own Kiowa police force. So
interesting.
So that was, something I never knew, but you're reading about it, you tell people stuff. Really? Yeah. I don't know. How do you not know that? My brother will say that, how do you know that? How do you not know it? Like I knew everything all my life.
Right. I've always known.
Yeah, I've always known this stuff. So it's all good.
What other stories did I think it was your Comanche grandma, what else did she tell you?
Geez, there's so many things she taught us as she was growing up, and different things, and most of it had to do with singing and religion and, family, a lot of family and those type of things, cooking and, just helping each other, be there for each other.
Yeah.
My grandmother helped raise a bunch of different, her sisters and them had kids and stuff, and, they had a hard time taking care of some of them, so they would come stay with us. And it was always something. It wasn't uncommon for somebody to come stay 2-3 weeks with us and then go back home and stuff.
Yeah.
Different things like that. So that was always a big thing. And they loved being outdoors. Man, in the summertime, by where our house was out there, my dad had made a little park, and it just grew from this little campground, little park into a campground, into a powwow ground, and everything. People would come out there and play softball and volleyball at night, and he put lights up out there. And some of our older grandmothers, they would come in the springtime since school was out. They'd come out there and set their camps up and stay out there all summer.
Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah, and you wouldn't believe it. It's awesome. I was thinking about it one day. God, they stayed there all summer until school started. Then they'd go back to where they lived so the kids could go back to school and stuff. But they would be down there and they would sing around the drum, hymns. They would share food. Somebody would cook something. We'll eat over there at this camp. And they were just right there by the house. And they loved the idea of going back to kind of the way they were, of hauling water. It's a big thing to go and get the water and bring it down and fill the buckets up and stuff like that. And we'll just run a hose down there. No, we want to haul it. So they would,
Really?
drag it down there and wagons and stuff. Yeah, it was just the way they were raised when they were younger and stuff. And those type of things. So there's a lot of stuff like that that went on that they were able to share with us and teach us, how to make things and, beadwork and all that stuff. We learned how to do all that stuff.
You still do beadwork?
Yeah, beadwork, featherwork, all those things like that. Make the drums and all that stuff.
So my sister and I, when we get our feathers in from the repository, our eagle feathers, one of the problems that we have is the smell of the feather. Sometimes it's a whole wing or whatever the case is. And so I've taken it before to a taxidermist and they can't get the smell out. I was just curious, is there anything that y'all do differently than what we do to get the smell out?
Well, you wash them, really you wash them and then you hang them up to dry and stuff.
Okay.
And everything. And then we use, it's called Indian perfume. It grows out there and it takes all that smell out of there and stuff like that. Where you pack it in, you put that stuff in there and then it'll take that smell out. So it's a real strong smell and stuff. And it takes sweat smells out and there's all kinds of stuff like that. They used to put it in their teepees a long time ago, put it around the outside of their teepees and it would keep it smelling fresh and stuff.
What is it?
It's just a plant that grows. In fact, there's some growing out there in the country right now. My brother got a whole bunch of it earlier. I think I might have some in my pickup outside if I think about it. But, you could take that and put it around your feathers and stuff. Because I had some war bonnets that same way. I made some war bonnets and they had that smell of, like that. So
nobody wants to be around you at the powwow.
Yeah. So we put them in the Indian perfume and just stored them. And then we take them out and let them air out on the day and hang them up and stuff. And just let the air. And now the smell's going out of them and stuff like that. It's just how it is.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So it's real good. It's just common in this area and stuff.
Yeah.
You can get it real strong. You get it down there by the mountains too. That's where I usually go down and get mine and stuff. But it comes out in the springtime, and it only comes in and buds out like around the middle of June, around the 15th, and the full moon in June. Yeah, and it comes out then. And when it comes out, then you have to get it right then, because if you don't, then the deer and stuff like that will come and eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll eat all that stuff because I guess it's a delicacy to them. It tastes good to them.
Right.
So they'll eat it all up too. So you got to get down there.
Maybe it makes them smell good too.
Yeah, so it's just like little plants like that, and all of a sudden, boom! There's just real pretty purple plants, just real thick and everything. And then you got to get them since they bloom out, because they'll only be out for a week, maybe 2 weeks at the most,
right?
Before the deer find them and everything. And you smell that all over the place. So
wow. Okay, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge tip from you just now. I have been looking everywhere to find information on that and asked around. A lot of people.
When we finish here, I'll go out. I think I got some in the truck. I'll look and see. I think I picked one up
that'd be
earlier.
interesting to see it for sure.
So it's drying up now. It's not purple. I thought I might have some in here, but I guess.
Let's see. What else would you like people to know, or what else would you like to preserve for your grandkids to know someday?
You see, family history, songs, and just those type of things, and just in my grandpa and my dad and them always told us that no matter what, get your education. They always told us go to school. So basically that's what we done, and all my kids all went to school and stuff like that, to college and everything. So just do that thing and learn, get along, do the best you can, get along with everybody. And this always tell us, treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's what we always done. You want to treat people good. You want them to be glad to see you coming. You don't want them to shut the door and go the other way when they see you coming.
That's right.
So, that's the thing. That's one thing they always drill us.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy. Just treat people good. They'll treat you good. And basically, that's what we done in the education part of it and everything. Respect, all those good things like that. Respect. Have respect for everything: the land, religion, water, air, people, all those things. Be a part of that. And so we do. We try to keep that first and foremost.
It's a good words of wisdom.
And this just came from what was given to us. Those gifts and stuff. And to be able to share that in this day and time, we need that more than anything.
It's true.
With everything that goes on.
Oh yeah.
And with everything going on around us now. We'd have our sweats last year, our sweat lodge, we set it up and everything, and we'd have a lot of people just wanting to come because they just need to get away from reality, more or less, all that stuff. And it was real good. Real good to hear people, and people really share what's going on with them, and it helps them get it out. So that's been a good thing too.
So thanks again, Mr. Ware, for your time today and for visiting with me and sharing more about the Ware family and helping me understand more about the church that we used to pass all the time when my sister got married in. I had no idea there was all that history that went so far back. And we'll be around.
Okay. Stay in touch. If you need anything else, let me know.
Potential is everywhere in the Choctaw people. It's in our schools, and students. It's in our small businesses and entrepreneurs. Potential is in our lifestyle and health. It's in our culture and heritage. Passion and commitment is in our blood. Ingenuity and economy are a tradition. And the Chickasha Foundation was founded for this potential. To cultivate minds and hearts, to stimulate ideas and passions, to extend lives and improve health through education, and to preserve and promote the power of our past. The Chickasha Foundation, meeting the potential of the Choctaw people.
Thanks for listening to Native Chalk Talk. Be sure to join our community on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Simply search for Native Chalk Talk. That's Native, CHOCTALK. And check us out at nativechalktalk.com. Stay tuned for the next episode. You're going to love it. Yakoki. Thank you, my friends.